Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria. And this same paper is copied to the various offices which include the Senate President, National Assembly, Abuja, the Speaker, Federal House of Representatives, Abuja, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abuja. However, we invite you here today, the press, to hear our own side of the issue that has been going on, which in particular you, the press, may not have gotten the real facts of. And today, we are now putting our own side of the story to the public and for enlightenment, for a better understanding. Therefore, may I start from what we refer to as historical background of the persecution of Ebira people, now dressed in the cloak of EFCC prosecution of former Governor Yahaya Bello. We are constrained to bring to this attention of Your Excellency that the whole dust raised by the infamous EFCC stroke former Governor Yahaya Bello saga has its roots in the ethnic complexity and political servant-master relationship that bedeviled our dear Kogi State since its creation in 1991. Our worry is the way a supposed important organ of the federal government of Nigeria, like the EFCC, got enmeshed in the whole conundrum that is capable of tarnishing the image of the good work of the present administration, led by your humble self. Before we go further to acquaint Your Excellency with the historical perspective of the whole issue, it will suffice to let you into the roles played by our Igala brothers at the beginning of the drama of the so-called EFCC case, with the attendant probable fear that former Governor Yahaya Bello may be submitting himself to the guillotine if he is taken into EFCC custody. When the former governor was yet to be officially invited by the anti-graft agency, some notable Igala sons and daughters, led by a former deputy governor of the state, Simon Achuba, and one Austin Okai, had at various times staged protests to the EFCC office in Abuja, urging the anti-graft agency to probe the former governor, who in their imagination is an enemy of their race. Your Excellency, one Jibrin Okutepa, son, an Igala man by tribe, and a staunch member of the Social Democratic Party, a party raised by the Igala ethnic group to contest the last gubernatorial election in Kogi State, had, during several television appearances, made disparaging comments on the person of Yahaya Bello as regards the need for the EFCC to nail him. Your Excellency may wish to note that this politician in the cloak of a lawyer is one of the sons hired by the EFCC to do the ethnic agenda of eliminating Yahaya Bello. He was the lawyer that filed the charge against the former governor on behalf of the agency. It will interest you to note, sir, that upon the judgment of the Supreme Court affirming the victory of Alhaji Usman Ododo as the duly elected governor of Kogi State, the defeated SDP candidate Muri Ajaka issued a statement saying that now that, I quote, "Now that the election case is over, he will exert his energy on how to bring Yahaya Bello to book by the EFCC. If we may ask, Your Excellency, when has it become the duty of a defeated candidate of a party to tell the EFCC what to do with a graft case or an accused person? It may also interest His Excellency to note that the former governor is a firm believer in the rule of law and can never run away from it. But the whole gamut of these orchestrated ethnic prejudice, historical perspective of his coming to power that demystify the age-long belief that the seat of power of Kogi State was the exclusive reserve of one ethnic group, and the modus operandi of the EFCC are making discerning minds believe that Yahaya Bello's life is not safe in the hands of the EFCC. Permit us also, Your Excellency, to go a little down memory lane with regard to the historical perspective of the struggle for equity, for equality, for Kogais since the creation of the state. Kogi State was created in 1991 by General Ibrahim Babangida military administration at the instance of the Ebira people of Kogi Central, Okun of Kogi West from Kwara State. The administration of Babangida brought in the Igalas of Kogi East, who failed to get their demanded Okura State from Benue State. This major ethnic group, Your Excellency, have lived together harmoniously in the colonial days of Kaba Province and early days of Old Kwara. The sense of brotherhood of being one's brother's keeper made the political gladiators of the Central and West, in the person of Alhaji Adamu Atta, former governor of Old Kwara, late Senator A.T. Ahmed, Alhaji Usman Obatemi, Chief S.B. Daninyo, Chief Sunday Awoni, and others too numerous to mention here, to take a decision to concede the first governorship slot to Kogi East, since an Ebira man in the person of Adamu Atta has had the opportunity of governing Kwara State, while their Igala brothers were denied the opportunity in Benue. In Benue, yes. This was the reason the two parties, National Republic Convention NRC and Social Democratic Party SDP, and had Prince Audu Abubakar and Dr. Stephen Achema, all Igala, as the party's gubernatorial candidates in that election. This supposed magnanimity turned to be a political albatross for the people of Kogi West and Central, as our Igala brothers of the East consolidated on power and tried to make an exclusive reserve of it as if it were for the Igala ethnic group alone. Prince Abubakar Audu, who emerged as the first civilian governor of Kogi State, ruled the state for 6 years, between 1992 to 1993 and 1999 to 2003. Audu was succeeded by Alhaji Ibrahim Idris between 2003 to 2008 and 2008 to 2012, while Captain Wada Idris took over from 2012 to 2016. This, in addition to the rulership of the first military administrator, Colonel Danladi Zakari, between 1991 and 1992, made it a total of 21 years of Igala ethnic hegemony over Kogi State, to the detriment of the Ebira and Okun. From the foregoing, you will agree with us that the leadership change that occurred in 2016 and the eventual emergence of Governor Yahaya Adoza Bello, and Ebira by tribe from Kogi Central was divine. But our Igala brothers have taken this as a hard to be forgiven sin by the former governor for the role God used him to play to actualize power rotation in the state. Contrary to the false narratives being put out in the media about the performance of former Governor Yahaya Bello, we make bold to say, sir, that he had unequal and exemplary achievement, all geared towards healing the wounds and uniting the people of the state. You may wish to see some of the highlights of the verifiable human and infrastructural developmental achievement aimed at uniting our people as follows. 1. For the first time in the history of the state, he chose his chief of staff from outside his ethnic group in the person of Mr. Edward Onoja from Igala. Hitherto, such positions were only from the governor's ethnic group or from his local government. 2. Rebuild the Igala Unity House, which was abandoned for over 50 years. Women and youth economic and political development ever witnessed across the state. He obtained the World Bank grant to construct and arrest the devastating erosion problems in Igala land and Lokoja Township riverline water structural embankment. Construction and rehabilitation of abandoned rural and township road in Igala land, including the roads leading to former Governor Ibrahim Idris and Wada Idris villages. He built and equipped the teaching hospital of Prince Abubakar Audu University in Igala land. Provision, installation, and lightening up of Igala communities that were not connected to the national grid. Supported the president's appointment of Honorable Shaibu Abubakar Audu as Minister of the Federal Republic from Igala. Aside from his nomination of Professor Ocheni of same Igala as minister during his first tenure, this was a taboo in the past. You may wish to note here that except during the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, when he appointed Chief Bayo Ojo, Professor Eitai Olambo, and Chief Kola Jamodu as ministers from Kogi West, when Audu was governor, under other successive Igala governors, Yahaya Bello established additional 2 functional state universities in Kogi Central and Kogi West. He revisited and reclaimed the Kogi State oil producing area in Igala land that was ceded to Southeast by former President Goodluck Jonathan under former Governor Ibrahim Idris, and this made Kogi State the 10th oil producing state in Nigeria. Your Excellency may wish to recall the efforts of former Governor GYB, that is FGYB, when he collaborated with other like minds to stop the suffering of Nigerian masses during the Naira currency redesign, which would have had negative impact on the presidential election at the time. Under the 8 years administration of FGYB, the higher institutions in Kogi State were not allowed to be affected with strikes due to his compassion for the students and parents. We wonder if all these are crimes and we are at a loss why EFCC, a government institution, is being used to persecute him with a view to eliminating him at all costs. Your Excellency, despite all these efforts of the former governor to unite the state, it seems our supposed Igala brothers can never be contented with anything unless every other ethnic group in the state agrees to play the second fiddle while they continue to rule. It is on this note we wish to appeal to Your Excellency to please stop this proxy war being waged against Yahaya Bello and by extension the Ebira people through the EFCC. If the Yahaya Bello they declare wanted over an alleged refusal to honor their invitation now walked into the EFCC office voluntarily, why would they turn him back only to return at night to embarrass the governor of Kogi State in the governor's lodge by attempting to arrest someone who was in their office earlier? Is it by dragging Yahaya Bello on the ground like a bandit or terrorist that the EFCC will be seen to be effective? It is surprising that in the Commission's naked efforts to cover up their unsuccessful mission to eliminate former Governor Bello and Governor Usman Ododo at the Kogi Government Lodge in Asokoro, Abuja, the EFCC chairman, Ola Olukoyede, who earlier denied the presence of the former governor in his office, issued a confessional press statement on the 19th September 2024, which stated that the EFCC rejected, I quote please, the EFCC rejected the method by which former Governor Yahaya Bello reported to the Commission because he was accompanied by his successor. His Excellency Usman Ahmed Ododo and other dignitaries, which is in violation of its invitation protocol. Hence, the chairman directed that no official of the Commission should attend to him and asked him to go home until they called him, but only to be attacked with Governor Usman Ahmed Ododo at the Kogi Government Lodge in Abuja at night. However, the same EFCC received former Governor Ayodele Peter Fayose of Ekiti State in company of Governor Nielsen Wike, Femi Fani Kayode, Professor Mike Ozokome's son, and other dignitaries to the EFCC office. This unprofessional handling of former Governor Yahaya Bello by the EFCC under Ola Olukoyede is pushing us to nurse the fear that the life of the former governor will not be safe having him in EFCC custody. Hence, our appeal to you to wade into the matter to ensure that the right things are done. Sir, if this action of the EFCC are not checked, we might be left with no other option than to put the international communities, civil society organizations in and outside Nigeria on notice about the unprofessional conduct of the EFCC. The agency will be held responsible if anything untoward happened to former Governor Yahaya Bello. Your Excellency, we want to strongly suggest that the Commission should be monitored closely to ensure that its operations do not put spanner into the efforts of rebuilding the country that Your Excellency is carrying on. We have absolute confidence in Your Excellency's ability to resolve this matter expeditiously and give respite and hope to former Governor Yahaya Bello, his family, the Ibira people, Kogi State, and Nigeria by extension. Accept our highest regards for the office and exalted position of Mr. President, sir. Thank you, and God bless you. My name is Dr. Kenneth S.S. Enebe.
Please, so that you hear me very well. Okay. The question he asked is actually in the right perspectives. We are not here defending Yahaya Bello of his alleged misappropriation. We are here trying to put the record straight that things should be done by the rule of law, in accordance to the rule of law. That's what we are saying. We are not here to say Yahaya Bello embezzled the money or he not embezzled the money. That's not what to ask for. Because from previous happenings, other governors, when they go there, they were well attended to, despite the invitations, like what my Nigerian has cited in the report. When Chief was going there, he was in tutelage of seated governor. Yes, the same EFCC did not turn them off. That why did they come with somebody that has immunity? But in the case of Yahaya Bello, in the first place, the same EFCC has actually sorted that Governor Dore should produce Yahaya Bello, that he was not hiding him. Even the person you accused that is hiding somebody now brought the person. Your role is to receive him. So before EFCC could be able to complain and say that Dore is immunity, that if, okay, let us receive Yahaya Bello. We go home, we cannot release him today because he has a question to answer. They don't say, no, I must take it home. I must take him home. At that time, EFCC will have got the ground and say, no, we are using your immunity on us. It doesn't happen like that. You send your officer to come and address them. That, okay, go and sit back when the other day will come for you. At the same time, the same person we want to go and forcefully arrested. It's wrong. This is what we are here to address. We are not here to decide whether Yahaya Bello embezzled the money, is not embezzled the money. We are here to defend the democracy. We are here to defend the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's what we are here for. And to put in the constitution to the world that the way the EFCC is doing is answering to the ethnic pressure of our brother, of our brother. That's just all.
We are talking to the public for purpose of clarity. It is not being or willingly tied to ethnic colorations. But if you follow up what has been going on, and from what we have put up here for you, I mean to the public. Number one, all of us are from Kogi State. If you are not from Kogi State, you cannot understand Kogi State better than I do. Get that. Number one, Achuba, who was former deputy governor of Yaya, is the one who precipitated the whole thing. It is vengeance. Because he was impeached. That is number one. Why we are looking at it from the way we are looking at it. The number two of it is this. Are you aware that J.S. Okutepa is an Igala man? J.S. Okutepa's son is an Igala man. And are you also aware that is the EFCC lawyer who has enormous influence on EFCC? And at the same time, he was made the leading counsel to Amuri Ajaka, which means J.S. Kutepa was persecuting Yahaya Bello from EFCC's point of view and persecuting Ododo from the court. When you put this together, my brother, you are matured enough. Because in my play, they say, when bird flies...